The American Treasury Secretary Jack Lew came to China recently and met with Chinese President Xi Jinping last Tuesday for a 45-minute strategic-level discussion of major issues, including currencies, the global economy, intellectual property, cybersecurity, and North Korea. However, what Weibo users were really interested in was what Secretary Lew had for lunch. According to a Weibo post, after meeting with President Xi, the Treasury Secretary went to a dumpling restaurant close by the American Embassy and dined with a few colleagues. Besides dumplings, he also ordered a few cold dishes and drank tea. In total, the lunch bill came out to 109 yuan, or roughly $15. Now, the reason why this is even news is because the Treasury Secretary is considered a very high-ranking official by Chinese standards. And with Chinese custom, high-ranking officials usually take part in ostentatious banquets, if nothing else, to show one's high status. At least that's how it was before. The new leaders of China have stressed that one of the goals of the new administration was to cut back on frivolous spending, something that the vast majority of taxpayers agree with. Besides Jack Lew, the American ambassador to China, Gary Locke, was also applauded by Chinese internet users for his simple, frugal lifestyle, and a lot of Chinese people hold American government officials as model standards and often compare their behavior with that of Chinese government officials. And now let's take a look at what Chinese Weibo users had to say about Secretary Lew's $15 lunch.
Hey, Chinese officials, I know you people are always saying that the American officials are just putting on an act, but how about you guys put on an act as well? In the United States, a government official that spends too much becomes news, while in China, a government official that spends too little becomes news. All restaurants located besides government buildings are expensive because government officials all eat at the public's expense. News like this should be broadcast during the two meetings for all the Chinese officials to see. Chinese officials should learn from this. They should disclose how much they spend on every meal.
Now, some of you might be thinking, so the Chinese people want the government to cut back on expenses. Which country isn't facing government cutbacks these days? Well, I'm sure you've got a point. After all, every government's got some sort of expense account that pays for banquets and vacations. But it's the scale of it that has China's new leadership worried. China's central government has released a tally of the three public expenditures for 90 central government departments. The three public expenditures include the cost of meals and banquets, the cost of government-provided vehicles and transportation, as well as the cost of trips abroad. The released numbers from the central government is about 9.5 billion yuan for 2012. Or roughly $1.5 billion, which is much less than what a lot of people were anticipating, and some people are skeptical of the figure's validity. The number, however, does not reflect the expenditures of the local government, which often lack the kind of supervision that's found in departments and bureaus under the central government's direct line of sight. Now, according to a well-known Chinese political commentator and one-time executive station chief of Hong Kong satellite station Yang Jingling, China spends an estimated 3.9 trillion yuan, or roughly $600 billion on government banquets, vehicles, and trips every year. A major source of wasteful spending that only fuels decadence and corruption. And now you understand why Secretary Lew's $15 lunch is such a big deal. Okay, now back to Weibo for some more thoughts and comments on the frugal lifestyles of American bureaucrats.
Depends on who they are comparing with. If they were comparing with me, then 109 yuan for dumplings is very wasteful. This is also a form of publicity. Otherwise, who was there to take the video? This is the difference in the quality of our government officials. It's not about how much he spent, but whose money he spent. Foreigners are also very good at giving themselves positive publicity.
Back in 2011, Joe Biden and his two daughters also went to a small Chinese eatery, so perhaps a lot of American officials bored of large government banquets enjoy eating in small local restaurants. However, what they probably didn't realize is that some of the restaurants they frequented also shot to fame overnight. The dumpling store that was frequented by Secretary Liu and Ambassador Locke, for example, is now quite well known locally, and a lot of people go there to simply try the dumplings that were good enough for high-level American officials.